as a side effect of the Kiwi dairy market, they are the world's 5th largest producer of beef. 5th. Can you imagine what's going to happen when it occurs to the Kiwis they can actually raise beef cattle on purpose? Watch this space. And then finally, France and Argentina, kind of like the United States. Broad range of climate zones, good navigable rivers that overlay it. They'll be competing with you in every possible market on a much lower scale. But these are really the only countries you need to worry about in the future. And therein lies a massive opportunity. Final graphic. This is a calorie map. Countries in deep blue and deep green are the world's major producers and exporters of grain-based calories. Everyone else is a net importer. Countries in orange and red import at least half the foodstuffs that they consume. In a world without order, in a world without easy transport, in a world without easy finance, these are the countries facing at least a 35% reduction in their ability to grow the crop in the first place. Folks, this is what famine looks like. We will never reach 10 billion people. At best, we're going to hit 8.5 billion and then fall off. We won't be able to feed them all. The pie will get smaller. But wow, is your slice of it about to get a whole lot bigger. So if you feel guilty about feeding a starving world, I can see that, but then you'll go to the bank and you'll laugh, so it'll all work out. Okay, anyone who tells you that they really understand what's going on in North Korea is lying, because they're really good at killing everyone's spies. So what I'm going to share you is kind of like the best guess of the intelligence communities in the United States, China, Japan, Germany, Russia, all of them. So it's still a guess, but it's the best we've got. So best guess, Kim Il-sung, the grandfather, the guy who fought the Japanese in World War II, founded modern North Korea. In 1993, he slipped in the shower and fell on some bullets. What happened was 3 days after he died, he was supposed to be in Seoul working out the practical mechanics of reunification. It was 1993. The Soviet Union had just collapsed. The Bush administration, first, had just met with Deng of China to basically patch up their differences after Tiananmen and move forward. Kim knew that there was no future for his country. Second generation, Kim Jong-il, this guy, you remember him? Yeah, batshit crazy. He came in and drove the economy right into the ground. His policies are what caused the famine that killed 2 million people. And the first generation, the generals that probably killed Kim Il-sung, were like, holy crap, that's not what we meant. So they sent the entire third generation, complete with Kim Jong-il, the current guy, this guy, abroad to figure out how the world really works. So Kim Jong-un actually went to school in Switzerland, where apparently he sucks at basketball because one of my proteges sat next to him in chemistry class. Apparently his bodyguard's really good though, so it made up for it. So problem with this plan was that the crazy guy, Kim Jong-il, died too soon. So at the tender age of 26, Kim Jong-un is brought back to the United States, brought back to North Korea to run the place. It's like, think about this position. The generals of the first generation offed your grandfather for moving too fast. Your father's generation is full of Mad Hatters. Worst job ever. So whenever you have the opportunity, you kill a member of the second generation, whether it's with an anti-aircraft cannon or maybe a little bit of sarin in the face when he's in Malaysia. And you just wait for the first generation to die off. I mean, this is how you manage domestic affairs. Then all of a sudden, you discover this little tool called nuclear weapons in your Twitter account that they use to keep everybody in North Korea off balance. So they never know what you're going to do next. And finally, you've kind of gotten your hands around the system until Donald Trump discovers your Twitter feed. And he's like, oh, fire and fury. And Kim Jong-un is like, oh, holy crap, that's not what I meant. I wasn't trying to piss off the United States. So he's like, just wanted to let everybody know that we finished our nuclear program and I've got what I needed and I've got a deliverable nuke and I got a button here on my desk, but really we're done. So, there's no reason to panic. And of course, the Trump administration did not read through the lines there and was like, oh, we've got a bigger button. All of a sudden, he had to have a summit. So he reaches out to the Trump administration. He's like, okay, can we meet? The Chinese lose their minds. The Chinese forcibly summoned Kim Jong-un to Beijing, and when they realized they can't talk him out of it, they put him live on television, and they put him in a little baby chair opposite Xi, who was in a booster chair so he can lecture down to the wayward province. And so when Kim finally leaves and gets back on his train and goes home, he's like, we're never talking to these people again. Call Trump, tell him that the summit's on. Now, is North Korea going to denuclearize? Absolutely not. Just like the South Koreans are in a tough neighborhood, so are the North Koreans. They need that nuke. But what they don't need is intercontinental ballistic missiles. And if you look at the aftermath of the first Trump-Kim summit, all of the changes that the North Koreans actually made had to do with delivery systems, with destroying the test facilities for long-range missiles. Because if they can deliver a missile 1,000 miles, that covers all of populous northern China, all of Japan, and all of South Korea. That's all they need. They don't need to hit San Francisco. And now they can't. It's not very nice for the United States to say, yeah, you know, East Asia, this is your problem. But from a national security point of view, it's kind of brilliant. Probably. I don't think the problem's in Congress. I think there's enough of a remnant of centrist Republican Democratic support to get it through without a problem. I also think that it's not a problem in Mexico. So I think we'll see ratification of the New Deal this year. The problem is in Canada. Trudeau, because of the seismic shift in relations with the United States, he's been caught on the back foot. It used to be that Canada would leverage its position in American security affairs to get economic concessions. Well, now that the United States no longer needs Canada for protecting our flight risk, it used to be that the Soviets would launch missiles over Canada to hit the United States. That's why the Canadians always had more leverage. That's why they were able to get more exemptions for their agricultural goods, particularly from Quebec. Well, that's all over. Canada has no extra leverage now, and they are in the process of adjusting to that. Trudeau is a Quebecois, but not a very good one. My French is probably better than his. The Quebecois have been treated as a vote bank by the ruling Liberal Party. And because of the change in circumstances, Canada has had a series of international economic catastrophes as all of its negotiating positions have collapsed more or less at the same time. And it's cost the Liberal Party control of every Canadian province that matters. And in October, we will have general elections. And if Trudeau tries to ratify the new NAFTA deal, they will absolutely get washed out in Quebec, and that will probably cost them the government. So I'd say 1 in 3 chance that by the end of this year, it's just going to be the United States and Mexico anyway. And Canada will enter into a protracted recession until they can get their politics right. And it's not like there's anyone waiting in the wings. Trudeau was kind of like Obama. He sucked all the oxygen out of the room. There are no pretenders to the throne in the Liberal Party. The Conservative Party has still not recovered from their defeat 4 years ago. And Alberta is openly debating secession. And in about 2 months, they will have provincial elections that is going to usher in a conservative separatist alliance that will probably have 80% of the seats in the provincial legislature. So Canada is facing nothing shy of a national crisis right now, and they just can't deal with NAFTA ratification.